Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. 6:01. The meeting of the WSESU will come to order. This meeting is a hybrid meeting, which means that some or all of the public body is meeting remotely or some are meeting physically in a previously located location where the public may attend to observe, listen, and participate. Please note that while we strive to provide means for those attending remotely to participate in the public comment period, there may be difficulties or reasons that otherwise prevent or interrupt remote participation. Therefore, it is important to note that the open meeting law only ensures the public right to participate and comment at the public meeting by attending at the designated physical location as posted. A member of the public or the public body has technical difficulties accessing this meeting remotely, please alert us. In the event of difficulty that cannot be resolved, we may continue the meeting if necessary to a time and place certain. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by a roll call vote in accordance with the law. I will now take nominations for WSESU Board Chair.
I nominate Ann Diekman.
Second. Are there any other nominations? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Congratulations, Ann Beekman. I will turn this meeting over to you.
My call to order speech. Thank you very much. Thanks for the vote of confidence, everybody. I would now entertain nominations for Board Vice Chair, and we did it as Board Vice Chair / Clerk. If everyone is amenable to that, we could do it again that way.
Yeah, I nominate Kerry Amidon for Vice Chair and Clerk.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thanks again. As far as establishing a meeting day and time, does this work for everyone?
Second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday, 6?
I have a question.
Sure.
Would it work better for everybody if it started at 5?
Probably not for Kerry.
I could make it.
Do you want it? Do we want to do this?
Or I should ask people on the policy
Yeah.
committee if it's, we end at 4 and then we have 2 hours
2 hours.
to wait.
And I'm tired of socializing with some of my fellow board members.
How does it work for administrators? Does that?
Fine with me.
Is he good?
Yeah, get home an hour earlier, theoretically.
I can make 5 work.
Okay.
I can make 5 work
Oh,
once a month.
wow.
Totally.
Change is good.
Thank you.
And here's the other fun part, if this really, really doesn't work out, we can change
Sure.
it again.
Right.
No, change it back.
At 5 p.m.
No, just if it doesn't work.
Okay,
Um,
so it's the second Wednesday
Wednesday
at 5 p.m.
Now, I have to change my calendar. Did everyone get a look at the meeting norms that were attached to the bottom? I just like to remind everybody of that. Speak with respect, lead with curiosity. Let everybody talk, nobody dominates. And be prepared to be uncomfortable. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of March 13th, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Deborah. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Abstain. Thank you, Sean. I think for our purposes, one abstention is visible for the rest of us. So, moving on to finances. I would move that we entertain the warrant of March 13th, 2024, in the amount of $406,116.23. The payrolls of March 8th, 2024, in the amount of $617,451.12. Warrant of March 27th, 2024, in the amount of $754,922.78. And the payrolls of March 22nd, 2024, in the amount of $615,598.19. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Let's get them home soon.
And Sean will abstain. You won't next time, everyone. Do you have anything you'd like to talk to us about, Frank?
Well, I did mention that I had the audit reports, so I will hand them out, and I can do a very brief review, and then if folks have questions at another meeting, we can have a follow-up discussion.
Thank you.
And if there are any questions, we can address them. So if I could give you just a 3-minute sort of overview, and this document's also on the website if folks want to share under the Central Office Finance under Audits. So this is for the Windham Southeast Supervisory Union, the fiscal year ending June of 2023. We always like to see early in the report the audit opinion. That's on page 1. If you flip a few pages in beyond the table of contents, page 1, in those paragraphs, second paragraph, you'll see the opinion indicating that financial statements referred to fairly represent in all material respects the financial position of the governmental activities and each major fund of Windham Southeast Supervisory Union and the respective changes to the financial position, including cash flows, in accordance with the principles generally accepted in the United States. So that takes a lot of work to get there, and it is not, what is that, pro forma? It's something that takes years to build systems that reach that standard. And we just have a terrific staff at the central office that has hit the mark every year that I have been with this group. So looking at financial condition and the most important measure of solvency, page 18 is the balance sheet. So the balance sheet is the aggregation of all financial activity from the beginning of Windham Southeast Supervisory Union's existence, right? It goes back to day one, where you look at each year of revenue versus expense. If there's a surplus, it goes to fund balance. If there's a deficit, you're insolvent, and you better deal with that in the next budget cycle to resolve. So that's why the balance sheet's so important. When we look to the far right-hand column on this statement C, you see page 18, 11.2 million in assets, and then liability 6.7 million, and deferred revenue of 1 million, with the differences between assets and liabilities are fund balance at 3.4 million. And as you can see, most of that is related to special education services and some of our restricted grants. So that's very much in line with a total budget of over 30 million now in terms of sustaining cash flow, and then of course restricted fund balances have to be reserved and utilized for those restricted purposes. So very, very good financial condition with that measure. Page 20 is maybe a little more familiar to the board in that when we go through that very detailed budget development process, November and December, pretty much meet every week to go through each of the components of our budget. This is the measures of revenue and relative to expenditures. So 33 million in revenues on that far right-hand column for the various funds, and then the expenditures, and there's that 3.4 million again, fund balance. One very conspicuous number that's not going to be there next year is, as you see, the next third line from the right, third column, the 5.4 million in ESSER funding. And we have to take that into account with our financial statements for fiscal year 25. Page 27 is the beginning of a very lengthy series of notes. It basically describes the scope of the audit work. It refers to the various standards that we have to follow, the generally accepted accounting principles, and the Governmental Accounting Standards Board rule. They write all of the standards for the audit industry, and then we have to follow the various, what they call statements. So like on page 27, they start describing the various statements that we have to understand and incorporate into our accounting process. Page 27, it starts with statement number 94, and then it goes on to statement number 96, subscription-based information technology. It's the way in which we record any liability or expense associated with those kinds of transactions. Statement number 99, and so on. There's many standards. One reason why the United States is considered sort of the gold standard in integrity in financial markets is because of these standards. It's not optional. You have to abide by the rules, or you get a negative opinion, and you generally lose the confidence of your constituents. So that lots of notes. I'll just mention one more, just because it's not something we control, but it's a major part of our business. Page 43 begins to make references to the teacher retirement system. Remember, that is a relationship between the teacher who is eligible to participate in the system and then the state of Vermont and the state treasurer's office. They manage the investment portfolio, but one of those governmental accounting standard statements say if you participate as a employer, then they want to see the disclosure of that relationship in the audit report, and that's why it's in here. Page 45 kind of describes the various groups that our teachers are affiliated with in terms of pension benefits and the way in which the benefit is calculated when you go to retirement. So just a kind of a quick reference there. Getting back into financial statements, page 68 brings us back to like a budget versus actual format. And that's what you see when we develop our budgets. These are essentially our statements. They just put them in the formats that the accounting standards require. Pretty remarkable in terms of some of our, the small nature of our variances. As you see on page 68 there, we have some fairly small variances against our spending plan, meaning our budget process has been pretty good at estimating future costs and then staying within those budgets. And again, those you've already seen in our budget documents in that we start with every budget year with what happened in the most recent fiscal period. So you've already seen these numbers in our financial statements. So maybe the last thing I thought I would mention is page 90 is just sort of a accumulation of the many grants that we've been so fortunate to have Paul Smith help navigate. And when you peel through page 90, 91, 92, you see there's 11 million there in federal grant awards to the Windham Southeast Supervisory Union. So much of our internal controls and our procurement standards are based on the federal requirements. And it is a topic I know we need to discuss as a board. It's a requirement actually for boards to review internal controls annually. We do it tangentially through this audit, but we really should look at our internal control procedure so the board is aware when you initiate transactions that you're following the internal control protocols, because at times that's not happening. It's obviously an immaterial amount, but it is something that I did want to mention.
So what is it that you're saying the board should be doing? that
Well, we have a
apparently we're not?
200-page procurement document, and what it articulates is, number one, all of these federal rules, because our federal grants are integrated into all of our schools. And in general, we don't distinguish the rules for federal money versus local money. We just set one set of rules. They're patterned after the federal document. For example, there is no allowance for purchasing food with federal grant money unless it's for the homeless, and there's a special
Parent engagement, family engagement.
yeah, so a very small portion of our 11 million, like maybe 10,000, I don't know. Yeah, is allowed. Generally, we don't approve the purchase of food for school events unless it's a pretty unique, very infrequent event. If it's fundraised, absolutely. And I know Sean sees food purchases because Sean's on the finance committee, he looks at that routinely. And yes, fundraised, we have pizza parties all the time. You see that in the warrants. But those are generally fundraised functions. It's not absolutely prohibited, but it's just it's one of many procurement rules that auditors look for, that we are consistent with our own internal control procedures. That's the measure of what is the risk of not presenting the financial statements in the actual condition in which the school is. And one of the risks is if you write a bunch of rules of how you record information, but then you don't follow them, well, that's a problem. So, and as you can see, our audit reports say that we are doing an excellent job, and certainly for the 99.9%, there are no concerns. But that's definitely another meeting, and Ann, I'm just mentioning it is a requirement, and it's not something that we've specifically scheduled as an agenda topic, but I think we should.
That was me sitting here thinking, Frank, you want to put together a presentation for us?
Sure, yeah. And I don't think it will be particularly surprising when we go through it. So that is our federal component of that $30 million budget. As you can see, it's very significant, is funded through either federal or state awards. And then what goes with that is a single audit review of those federal awards. There's a Federal Register. It's a lot thicker than that, of all the procurement rules. We pull out the procurement rules that we know are germane and in play almost every transaction. So the auditors look specifically at various grants. They look at the criteria that the federal government said, this is the criteria for you to receive the grant. Paul is generally central in writing the strategy that says, here's the outcome that we will achieve based on the criteria that you ask us to fulfill. And then the auditors look, well, does the money follow the strategy? And and then the state oversight agencies look at, well, did you get the outcome that you expected? So this opinion on page 97 it's a reflection of our ability to comprehend the rules, which are sometimes not the easiest thing to interpret, and then apply systems, internal control, discipline in our procurement system to meet those requirements. And that opinion you see again in the second paragraph, that the supervisory union in all material respects, the types of compliance requirements referred to that could have a direct material effect on major federal programs, and we have complied. We are in compliance, which is, again, a very challenging status to achieve. And then page 100 is like the super simplified report card. Page 100 is a yes, no. Are there material weaknesses? Are there non-compliance issues? And you can see they're all checked as no. And then at the bottom there, do we qualify as a low-risk auditee? Yes, that's very important, because if you're a high-risk auditee, you're not even invited to apply for a lot of grants, and that's a very important kind of status for us to achieve. Quick overview. Any questions?
Just incredible work out of the business office.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, and it really is absolutely a team, and it's also what Paul has done for so many years.
And what Bryn is now doing, she's now surpassing me in garnering grants.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you.
Really?
Thank you.
Super impressive.
Yeah. So we are at the portion of the proceedings where we entertain public comments on non-agenda items. Anybody out there in Zoom land like to speak up? I am not seeing any hands. Second call. Okay. Moving on to new business. Michael's presentation for us?
I do. Good evening, everybody. If this works, I'm going to share my screen with you. Whoever is the host, can you? Oh, here we go. I think we're in business.
Looks good.
All right, you can see it. That's half the battle, right? Okay. Let's see if I can get slideshow.
Upper right.
Yep, there we go. So some of you may have seen this presentation before, but it is updated. So it's kind of an overview of where we are in terms of recruiting and talent management. So any talent management effort, whether it's for school, whether it's for a hospital, whether it's for a for-profit corporation, they sort of follow these principles. You want to drive candidates to the website. You never want to lose sight of the candidate experience. That's incredibly important, because when we recruit people, when we interview them, we always want to treat them fairly. We want them to walk away with a very positive experience, even if they're not selected for the job, because if we fail to do that, it has a ripple effect out in the community, the recruiting community. And that's where companies get, or organizations get bad names. Obviously, we want to do things with a focus on social justice. And of course, and this will make Frank happy, I hope, effective yet cost efficient. So right out of the gate, when you talk about talent management and recruiting, you start talking about sourcing. Sourcing essentially is, how do you get people to apply for your jobs? How do you generate interest in the opportunities that you have to offer? And so I've been doing this for a few years. The gray hair or lack of hair might have given that away. But originally back in the 90s, we started out with newsprint and radio ads, college relations. That was sort of our foundation. And it still is an important role today, but less so because of the advent of job boards or internet searches or job fairs. We're also trying to do a lot in terms of leveraging social media and networking, and we'll talk about that as we go along in this little mini presentation. And we're also looking at internal recruitment and employee referral. I think one of the most important aspects of who we are as a school district is the fact that we promote people from within. Hannah Parker is a great example of that. So here's kind of a sourcing update as we've kind of changed things. So I started out the conversation talking about radio and newsprint, right? Still effective. We had a shortage of substitutes and crossing guards at the end of December. So we ran a 2-week radio blitz at the end of December. You might have recalled hearing that on the radio. We did a couple ads, and in that just brief period of time, we were able to hire 17 subs and 4 crossing guards. And so that helped to sort of plug our leak in terms of those particular positions. I think, as many of you know, we have turned to Indeed as a resource. Indeed is incredibly important for classified and for administrative positions. So in the time that I've been here, last 9 months, give or take, we've put 62 positions up on Indeed. And that drew in 387 applicants. Now, asterisk to that. That's a little misleading. It's not 387 individuals, because many people applied for multiple jobs. But yet that does count as one. If I'm applying for a teacher in the academy or a teacher at the high school, that's 2 applications, 1 candidate. And from that, and perhaps most importantly, we get 31 hires. So half of those positions, roughly, give or take, we found people on Indeed for. And Indeed is a free resource. There is some optional things you can do at a cost. I think in total on Indeed, we might have spent less than $500. School Spring, everybody knows what School Spring is still a tried and true thing for us, especially when it comes to teachers. Last school year, we had 131 positions advertised. We got 44 right now. That drew in, those 131 positions drew in 123 applicants and led to 62 hires. We started the introduction of an employee referral program, and I see us bringing this back to life as we go into hiring season. We posted 6 positions, 6 really hard to fill positions, and we did result in 1 hire. So a proven source, low cost, return on investment is quite high. Social media, in about 2 weeks, I will send to every member of the board an invite to have you join our LinkedIn site for the SU. And so if you are on LinkedIn, or if you're not, and now's the time to do it, this is a great way to network and to recruit candidates as we develop more of a presence on the LinkedIn page. It's not applicable to every position. I don't know if we'd find a lot of custodial staff through LinkedIn. Who knows? But more of the teachers, more of the management, administrative positions for sure. And we've talked a lot about college relations. These are the folks that we've reached out to. SHNU has thousands of kids enrolled across the country, not just in Manchester, New Hampshire, but across the country. Believe it or not, they have about 80 of those thousands of people. There's only about 80 folks that are in education. So that's one of the least popular majors. Keene State, we've got actually a couple of interns that are with us now from Keene State. A great resource that we want to build on. AIC, you've probably have heard me talk about AIC down in Springfield, Mass. In former life, I had a lot of luck getting nurses from AIC. AIC is a very high minority enrollment program, our population, about 60% of their overall student body. The education program, and I did talk with the dean, is being reinvigorated by a new dean. She's been there 2 years, and she's very excited about the possibilities. But it's still, as she told me, it's still got a long way to go, and maybe this is something we can grow together. I was at a recent job fair for the state university system, and on the 22nd, Kevin Drury and I went up, and we met the dean of college, Champlain College from the education school. At that state university job fair, it was only for educators, so it was kind of new. It was only for educators. It drew about 100 kids. Now, keep in mind, this program went on the day before the big storm that happened not only here, but certainly up north. So they still drew in 100 kids. We talked to probably about 30, and we have 5 resumes that were given to us that we have circulated. So for a first go-around, first time for both us and them, it looks pretty promising, and we're looking forward to next year. As a matter of fact, today I just filled out a survey, a response survey, and gave them some thoughts, at least my thoughts for next year. And then on the 19th of this month, I'll be participating in a virtual job fair with the Community College of Vermont. We've got a time slot, I think it's from 12 to 1. And this is really to attract folks that might be interested as educators with some college background. That'll be a nice stepping stone for our para to teacher program. So we're hopeful that will produce results. So at this point, we want to look at challenges, right? So what are the challenges? This is nothing new. You all know this. It's first thing we got to do is we got to expand our presence in the regional labor market. We've got to make people aware of who we are and why they should come to work for us. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We just have to leverage that message. Historically low unemployment, housing shortage, that's nothing new. Compensation in a tight labor market like this, compensation is always a challenge. Aging workforce, we just went through the Great Resignation. We're still suffering with the post-COVID blues and childcare issues. So in my opinion, every challenge presents an opportunity. And how you respond to those challenges will determine how you create your own opportunities. That's just my philosophy. So we want to expand and help address some of the issues with the housing market. Working with our friends at BDCC and Brattleboro Housing Board to that end. I've reached out to the retreat. They actually are renting Holton Home. And here's the irony of life. My wife, who's a nurse, was actually the nurse manager at Holton Home for a while. So I'm asking if we bring in new teachers in the fall and we need a place for them to hang their hat for a couple weeks or maybe a couple months, maybe we could find them a place to stay at Holton. Obviously, we're looking at social media, college recruiting, and networking. Skip over this page. So we talked about this. One of the things that's really important when you talk about developing a successful recruiting program is you have to establish rules of the game for your staff. We have a lot of talented administrators. You all know that. If you attended last night's meeting, as I did, you saw 3 of our leaders talking about the different programs they're doing, and that's the message we got to convey more out to the public about those types of programs and what makes us an exciting place to be. So on the HR side, I don't get involved creating those programs, but I'm the person that's going to help develop the recruitment guidelines to help make our administrators' lives a little bit easier. So we've got a little packet. We've developed a new hire workflow. We're still working on that. We've created very simple reference check forms. Right now we have a reference check forms that we use for every position. I've created one for teachers, administrators, and for classified, non-certified staff. We've developed an evaluatory rubric for teachers, and we want to develop the same for other positions, and helping our leadership teams develop more informative letters of introduction for the folks, the certified folks that they present to the board. So that's just part of the recruitment guidelines that we are putting in place. If you go to our portion of the website, you'd find this video. I'm sure many of you have seen it. And I think as I told a few of you, yes, the camera does add 20 pounds. I'm much thinner than I do looking on camera. So we have developed this program. It's launched. We're trying to do our best to publicize this. I did send out a request for an article to both the Commons and to the Reformer. I haven't heard back from them yet. I'll give them another jingle to try to promote this as best we can. If they don't want to do that, I can understand why. We'll find other ways to do it. I just talked about the Grow Our Own program. And so these are the 5 folks that were selected this year. I've been in contact with several of these folks. 2 of them, and Frank, I got to talk to you about this, are ready to go. I mean, they're ready to start classes next week. So we've got some excitement, we've got some buzz going, and we want to build upon that. I've actually had three other employees this week alone asking about the next program, the next go round, and how do they join in the fun. College relations, we talked about that. I think the core idea here, though, is it's all about building relationships, right? No matter what element of business you're in, it's all about relationship building. So what we want to do is HR partnering with the placement office, and we want program chairs to be partnered up by our staff. And I think the one thing we really need to look at is getting some of our younger teachers involved with this. Because when we go to college fairs like the one we attended, they don't want to talk to an old guy like me. They want to talk to someone who's a recent college graduate that's been with the district now for a couple of years, and they can give the straight up on why they should come to join. And so that's something we got to work on for our next year, our next college recruitment program. We have made a little bit of traction this year. I didn't have a chance to do a full-blown analysis, so I apologize for that. I only took a look at the SD, looking at who we hired in the past year. In the certified area, there were 32 total hires. This is just the SD now. And 4 of those were folks of color. Classified, not as successful, 109 hires, 4 as well. But it's a start, and we're building on this. One of the things I really want to work on is to develop what's called a dashboard. And a dashboard would give us a snapshot at any point in time of where we are in terms of hires, in terms of efforts around social justice, and what have you. So I've talked a lot, which I sort of have a proclivity to do. Any questions?
Mike, is there anything specific that the board could do that we're not doing yet to help in the hiring process?
Well, I think when we get that LinkedIn page up and running, we'd love to have you join us as a follower. And then I'd love to have you also send that out to your network. And so it's like a ripple. We start the LinkedIn page. You become a follower. You're that first drop in the ocean or on the pond. And then you contact other people and it becomes a ripple, and more people find out about us that way. So certainly want to enlist all of you to help us with that endeavor as we go along.
So I presume you'll send us a reminder when you need us.
Oh, you betcha.
Okay.
No trouble about that. I'm not shy.
Great.
Is there any
So-
other like you mentioned?
So you mentioned that you are typically looking at education programs. You're recruiting. Do you ever look at individuals who do not have education degrees? Do you ever recruit on that side of the house who are perhaps pursuing a major in English or history or math, but not education?
It's a good point, Deborah. We're very much in the infancy stages. As you know, education is the logical starting point to build a base there. But yes, we do. We actually have an internal candidate right now over at the high school who is someone who has that type of profile. Doesn't have an educational background, but does have a bachelor's degree and wants to become a teacher. He's not working as a teacher for us now, but that's his end goal. So that's an example of doing what you're suggesting, but in the internal market. And remember, the internal market is every bit as important as the external market. And why? The simple philosophy is retention. If a solid retention program is your best recruiting program, that's the basis. That's the bedrock on which you want to build.
Anybody else?
So, Mike, I have a neighbor who's actually a retired police officer, who's now teaching with the Career Center. You're having a great time. How are we doing with attracting practitioners to teach in the Career Center?
Really well. Kudos to Nancy. We had an opening recently in automotive, and she found somebody within weeks. It was I'm going to use the phrase legacy. It was someone whose parents had been teachers with us before, and it's a great fit. From what I understand, the kids love them, and I think and again, my favorite story is there was a large corporation out on the West Coast that was in high tech called Santa Mia, and the CEO one time brought together a group of folks at a very large hall, and his message was really simple. It was, I'm making you all recruiters. So there were like 4,000 employees in this auditorium. He said, you are all my recruiters now. And guess what? I've got a new job title. I'm not just the president and CEO. I'm now the chief recruiting officer. And y'all report to me. And together, we're going to solve our hiring crisis. And it worked.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I was talking to a community member whose son is in the electric program. She just raved about this teacher, about saving her son's high school career. He just adores this teacher. Those are really good stories.
I'm sure all of us, if you're lucky, if all of us have a story about one or two teachers in your life that made a difference. I know I do. And that's why most of our teachers do what they do. So they want to make a difference in the lives of young folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to this, but I'll ask a question if I can. I got an email today from a friend of mine who looked at the Grow Your Own program in the WSESU. And it probably is covered in what you have just enumerated, but I was kind of wondering if you could expand on that a little bit.
Oh, happy to. So, first of all, thanks to our admin team, Mark and Frank and everybody for being supportive of the idea. And it's not a new or novel idea. It's been around in different variations in different industries. But basically, the way our program works is each year we're going to select 5 folks to participate in this program. And they're selected on the basis of an application that includes a couple essays and references from their administrator, their principal. And we want to support them up to the limits of the IRS, which is $5,250. Actually, we kind of rounded it down for simplicity's sake, down to $5,000. And that's to help them pursue a degree, to formally get their bachelor's degree in an education field of their choice, and to hopefully join us, because there is a commitment for every year of financial support we provide them. We're asking for a year of support afterwards. And we have right now Deb Heller, who's kind of helping to guide folks in terms of answering their questions as to what degree program to follow, and what are some of the how to work around some of the roadblocks that might be apparent. We had one just the other day, and the question came from one of the participants. Hey, can I use the monies for a PC? And the response was, well, we really didn't intend for the monies to be used for a PC, but rather simply go talk to your principal, ask if there's a PC you can borrow. You can use it for work, you could use it for school, and guess what? It's problem solved. So those are the types of things that we want to help folks accomplish. We believe that most folks might be able to get their bachelor's degree in 2, 3, or 4 years. We will support them that entire time, up to that $5,000 limit. And if we're lucky, we're going to do that every single year. Another group of 5, another group of 5, another group of 5. And hopefully at the end of the day, we're going to have more teachers. And does that help explain the program?
Yeah, it does. I have one follow-up question. If the email that I got talked about a former educator who lives in the area, and talking about volunteering time to be associated with that Grow Your Own program. Is that?
Yes, Deb Heller is our person right now this year. She has committed to be with us through this year, hoping to entice her to come back for next year. But if not, we'll do our best to find somebody else. And I'm hopeful this will work out to be a long-term solution. There certainly seems to be long-term interest.
So would you be the contact for this?
Absolutely. And anybody has a question, send them my way.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to clarify, is the $5,000 per year or per human being?
It's per person per year.
It's per person per year. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when that person goes to file their taxes, $5,250 or below, there's no tax impact. $1 above that, then you're going to get taxed on that full amount.
Anybody online?
I'll just add that this is so exciting because we have so many highly qualified paraeducators that are just, really anxious and eager to get into certified roles of various types, just those 5 examples. One of those people is looking to become a special educator, and that just makes me so excited, that we are going to invest in these people who have been committed to our district, have been in our district for a long time, are experienced, have so much expertise, but working as a paraeducator, it can be really challenging to put yourself through a program with all, all of the other things that people have going on in their lives. And so I think this is it's an incredible way to support and to help our people that we know are just amazing. So I'm really excited about it, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I've talked to a couple of people already in the last couple of weeks as well, who I think are hearing about it and are looking towards next year. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience. I feel like the momentum is really starting to pick up, and that culture is starting to get established. So it's really exciting.
And it just sends a message of support too, from the district that I think people really need to hear and to feel that we do.
You have opportunities to
Yeah.
grow, and we're going to support you.
Yep.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for all of your incredible work. You are making an enormous difference in this district, and you are very much appreciated. And to everybody on the team, thank you all as well.
Well, it's not just Mike Kelliher, okay? It's a team effort, and I'm very fortunate to be here. I sincerely enjoy working with all of you. So thank you. Thank you.
Very comprehensive, Mike. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, moving on, you have new hires and retirement.
Yeah, we got some exciting announcements. No retirements tonight, but we do have 4 hires. And I'll let Whitney kick us off here.
Sure, happy to. I'm very excited to recommend Amanda Paradise for a special education position at Academy School. She is an exceptional classroom teacher who, and this really speaks to just our district getting creative in, getting people interested in different positions. She is interested in this position and has accepted it because of the case management model that we've been able to put in place. So she's going to be pursuing her special education licensure over the next couple of years. And with that case manager model, it will allow her to do that and to have somebody else carry the bulk of the load for the paperwork while she can use her just incredible expertise in literacy and math intervention to work with some of our kids who need that the most. So I'm very excited. She comes with an incredible amount of experience with literacy. Has taken our letters 1 and 2 courses in the district with Brian Bittner. So a lot of depth of knowledge in teaching reading, and we'll be working with 4th and 5th graders this coming year at Academy School.
Thank you, Minnie. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Deborah. All those in favor of this hire, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you.
Great, thank you, Whitney. And the model it was just speaking to really started in Brattleboro town. We did a survey about halfway through the school year. Remember the results was like over 90% positivity in terms of feedback.
Yeah.
And now we're expanding next year to include Vernon and is it Putney? Yes, so Vernon and Putney will be partnering with the same model in place. And I think we'll be looking at other creative ideas down the road to support other schools. But
Do people draw short straws for the paperwork position, or?
Some people like it, Paul. It's great because it allows for the people who just love to run meetings and do paperwork. That's their whole day, and they're happy with it. So it is good. It has a good fit for everybody, and everybody else just gets to teach, which
focus
that's
on
what I would
kids,
pick.
focus on right. But there are those folks who've been doing it for a long, long time and would rather focus on the paperwork at this point in time in their career. So it's a nice model. I'm proud of it. Thank you, Whitney, for your leadership of that.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to announce we've been advertising for 2 curriculum coordinator positions, pre-K through 6 and 7 through 12. We had a really great candidate pool for both positions. We had a really thoughtful, intelligent committees that were established for both pools. Both committees did a really professional job And I'm happy to say we've landed our top candidate in each pool, which is very exciting. So our curriculum office is coming into form here for the future. So for our pre-K through 6 position, we are recommending Stacy Sawyer, who is our current literacy coach. And for our 7 through 12 curriculum coordinator, Janet Slazinski, who comes to us from Tennessee, but does have ties to New England and Vermont.
He was much more appeasing this afternoon. Long day. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Deborah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Welcome aboard. Congrats.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to making those phone calls. One of the things Mike was referring to was the candidate experience. And I think that really helped through these search processes. We had candidates with multiple offers on the table. And after the screening committee did their work, behind the scenes, there are many phone calls and conversations that took place with candidates who were really probing us and our school district to ensure the right fit for them. So we interview, and then those top-notch candidates interview us, whether it's at the table or behind the scenes. So it was a really thorough process and a number of phone calls after the interview process. And I really want to thank Bryn Tucker for taking the lead in developing the interview process for both positions. She will be their direct supervisor.
She's on the Zoom.
She is. Oh, terrific. Do you want to say anything, Bryn?
She's on phone. I'm not sure
Okay.
if she's gonna get the speaker to work.
There she is.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for approving the hires. I apologize for joining by phone. And we're so excited to continue forming the team and have really great work ahead of us, and are looking forward to working with the board on this as well. And thanks for your words, Mark.
Thanks, Bryn. You did a great job taking the leadership role in this process.
Thank you, Bryn.
Deserve a lot of credit. Lastly, exciting announcement. We are recommending a lead teacher for our very new public pre-K school at Canal Street School, the Brattleboro Early Childhood Center. And we are recommending Miranda LaPolice to take the lead and help us establishing this exciting new venture of creating a public pre-K in Brattleboro. Miranda comes to us with lots of experience in public pre-K. Mary Kaufman took the lead in this interview process, as she has experience supervising a pre-K program at Oak Grove School. So I'd recommend Miranda.
Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Deborah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Welcome aboard again.
Great.
This is very exciting.
It's a big night for
Brattleboro's
us.
been waiting a long time for this.
So next steps for the public pre-K at Canal Street is we'll be interviewing paraeducators next week. The hope is to hire before April break, but that's not a guarantee. And Miranda, now that she's on board, will participate in that process. Whitney and I were at the school this morning for a couple hours, working with the team, just kind of reviewing the work that's been done in the building. And it's really remarkable. Very much kind of a rundown, a little bit building, sorry, like a stutter or something, neglected over the years. And we've put a ton of man hours, money into refurbishing it. We'll be replacing all of the carpets, painting all of the walls, ordering new furniture, cleaning up the grounds, likely taking down some trees. We're putting up some signage in the coming weeks. Get ready for a grand opening in September. So we only have 3 kids signed up for the program right now. So we'll be,
They will come.
we'll
If
be
you know any
promoting,
4-year-olds.
we'll be promoting from now through the spring pretty heavily. We'd like about 12 to 15 students for the first cohort. But things are slowly falling into place, and I don't know if you want to add anything, Whitney, but
Yeah, I mean, I think just recognizing the work of Brandy Levesque and Kerry Beebe, they've done a ton of organizing. Today, you know, they were talking about their furniture order that they've got together, and it's really starting to happen. So it's exciting to start to think about those details and just see the building come alive a little bit. So I think it has been just a long standing equity issue for our community, and it is so exciting to just see the leadership and support for this to happen. I think it's going to make a huge impact in our community and in our kindergartners also in future years.
hired a full-time custodian at the building. He's been painting away all day, every day.
Where is the building? This is not the one with the bell tower.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, this is the one at the stop sign where,
Yeah.
It's a big historical building that we're bringing back to life.
okay, because it's been on my to-do list to ask for a tour of that building. It's so beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Wasn't there a big bat infestation they had to get rid of?
not aware of that.
No bats in the belfry.
So the vision is to start with one cohort.
Yeah.
Bigger vision is 5 to 6 cohorts at that school. So very exciting. Frank's leadership through the capital process has been incredible. So a lot of people to acknowledge
Kerry
on this journey.
and Brandy are participating.
And Brandy and Kerry, this board would like to extend this thanks.
Yes.
I am sure you were working very, very hard.
And feel free to share some words if you'd like.
Hi there. I had to move out of my kitchen because everyone's getting ready for dinner. But I want to also say thank you and commend Mark for his leadership around this, and clearly some board support and Frank support, because it is I'm very passionate about early childhood, and it is an equity issue, as Whitney mentioned, and I think we are moving in the direction that the state is also moving in, a little bit of maybe ahead of what the legislators are talking about or able to do right now. But it's been an amazing process. Kerry has put in a ton of effort. Rodney Holland, as a FM, has been doing so much work to get this up and off the ground, and it's really exciting how much momentum and support there is around educating our youngest learners, and doing so in a really highly, in a high quality program. So we're really, really excited about this, and happy to give tours anytime. We got a lot of work going there. My team is currently using that space for special education services, and we're just kind of making it come alive, and it's really fantastic.
Thank you, Brandy.
Yeah, I've been driving by that school for 57 years, ever since I moved here, and I've been really curious about it. So I'm just wondering how many classrooms there are in the structure, and what's going to be like to have a single cohort there. I mean, it could be really exciting for those students.
There's 6 classrooms, and it's 3,700 square feet. It has 3 levels. There's a grade level where there's a kitchen and a kind of a play area. And then the entry level is the first floor. Each floor has 3 large rooms, and then there are these smaller spaces for offices, bathroom, utility services. Yeah, so it's 3 levels. I think it was in maybe 2008, something like that, there was a substantial improvement to the tower and the clock. Restored that along with the roof. So the exterior is in very good shape. The interior needs what Mark was referring to. It needs mostly cosmetic, but a significant amount of cosmetic improvement. Brighten it up.
But we have a proactive plan in place and people leading it, so.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to watch it flourish.
So I presume that cosmetic overlay will take place during the time that that first cohort is there. The work will continue while they're in place? or-
Most of it's over the summer. Yeah.
It is, okay.
In advance,
All right.
yeah.
So when do you anticipate that the building will be at maximum?
We're taking it one step at a time, really focusing on a successful cohort, and then we'll evaluate. But ideally, maybe then go to 2 cohorts, and then 3, or maybe we jump to 3. I don't know, it's hard to predict right now,
Okay.
but we're really focusing on
Doing one well.
year 1.
Yeah. One.
Oh, sorry, I can't see everybody. So yes, do one really well. And we're also have to listen to what the state determines around public pre-K for 4-year-olds and what will be mandated to do and what will be our choice to do. So that will guide us as well. And I think, Sean, you mentioned, the single cohort, or a single cohort in this building. There's we're working with, Oak Grove and Mary, to, partner and have those, like, that classroom be kind of a part of Oak Grove School. So accessing all of the things that Oak Grove students have access to. So we're definitely thinking about that piece of it as well. But I have to say, this candidate that you just approved, and thank you very much, we all felt pretty excited about her ability to take on this kind of a task. And just, she's really dynamic person. So I think we're in really good hands.
This is all terrific news. Is there anything else?
That's it.
Okay. The second to last part of our agenda is classified other business. I intend to keep that entry there for anyone who thinks there's anything we need to talk about at our next meeting or needs to get done before our next meeting. This has been a board that has short meetings and we get things done, so we have a little time at the end of our meetings to consider if there's anything anybody wants to talk about or possibly take action next time. And if you, now that you know, I'm sure people will come in with ideas next time. Okay then, we apparently do need an executive session. It shouldn't be very long. I would entertain a motion that we make a specific finding that premature general knowledge would clearly place a public body or a person involved at a substantial disadvantage to enter into executive session under 1 VSA 313A1A contracts and invite in Mark Spino, Frank Cummings,
Yes.
and Frank Brown. So moved. Thank you, Kerry. Will there be action taken?
I think
I
there,
hope so.
yeah,
I just wasn't sure how we did.
yeah, we can,
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, great.
and I don't even think we need a
We
computer.
do not need a
So
computer.
you can leave everybody where they are.
Having risen from executive session at 7:29, I entertain a motion with regard to that executive session.
I move we accept the recommendation of administration on a contract matter.
Is there any discussion? Second. Thank you. Oh, we didn't move both over to Robert's rules of order, and only 5 of us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? And we are done.
Madam Chair. As there is no further business before this board, I move we adjourn.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned at 7:30 PM. Thank you so much, everybody. Woo!
Thank you.